Hey guys, it's Mr. Cologne or Mr. C, a layman from reinforcemyfaith.com. And today I wanted to try the affiliate game. And affiliate link, GRIFT, is the name of the title, as I will be showcasing some of my books from my library, as I have some are put away, but some are out. So I wanted to showcase some books depending on the category. And the category today is Western Civilization and History, and it's just some of my picks of the books that I have. Obviously, I would like a lot more, but these are some of the books that I have either read or at least skimmed through, but it's in some depth, and just wanted to go over those and have some links for you at the bottom of the video in case you're interested in purchasing these books or some of the variants of these books, as I'll talk about. Some of them are abridgments. So if you want to get the abridged version or the unabridged version, that would be up to you. There's also, these are all physical books. Also, I think there's something about having a tangible physical copy of a book rather than a digital copy. Although there has been recently for me to catch up on my reading, if the book is popular enough, I would be reading the actual physical book. Also have if it has a digital copy or PDF online, and also an audio version. So by the three methods, I'm able to finish books quicker. But the primary method, I think, still should be a physical book, which you can touch. Although I guess having audio or digital access is better than nothing, but there's something about the physical touch and the reading that at least speaks to my comprehension, especially me growing up before the internet was really in its, in the 90s, when it was just some people had it and some did not. So it was not so you didn't have a smartphone in your pocket, so you don't have the access to information that's like that. So there is still something about the analog way of doing things that makes this interesting. So let me go over to hopefully these slides help you as I go along. I'll start here with The Historian's Craft by Marc Bloch or Bloch. This was given to me as I am a in-person high school teacher. I was that for several years, and I was given to me by the history teacher. And this is more about the art of studying history, but also writing history. But I think it's still very important in the fact of knowing your biases and knowing the biases of your current era, and not putting those in past events, or at least putting those up front so the reader can tell what the situation would have been in the past, and what are some insights that you can bring if you are a modern person. So if you're doing an event that happened 20 years ago, and if you're writing about it, especially if you want to do your know how to find the right sources, contemporary sources, and make sure you're not bringing into that your language that you would use now that was not used back then, and some of the anachronisms that might creep up by writing about history or studying history. So, The Historian's Craft by Marc Bloch is pretty good. It was written in 1930, so it's a little bit dated in some aspects, but some things are perennial that include and happen all the time. So I put a link to this one. Is only really one version of this book, so it's this paperback copy. So hopefully you guys can get some from it, especially if you like history and knowing about how to write it and how to talk about it intelligibly. So, The Historian's Craft. The next book is Arnold Toynbee's A Study of History. Academic Agent AA has talked about him in his books, and he really has 10 volumes. This is the abridgment that's also illustrated, so it's like dummies for dummies, something closer to a SparkNotes, but not really. So he has either you can buy the 10-volume version, or you can buy a 2-volume set that is an abridgment of the for volume 1 of first 6 books, and then volume 2 of you know the latter 6 books. I think there's 6, 12, or I am not sure. Let's see. I think there's 10 actually. So volumes 6, and then volume 4, 5, and 4, and volumes 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and 10 for the second half. Or so you get either the 10 volumes, the 2-volume abridgment, and then the 1-volume abridgment, which is illustrated and has uh, still had a lot of text, right? It's a pretty hefty book here, but it has a lot of text. It also has a lot of images, as you can see. And images and infographics help me a lot, especially when reading about history and just looking at maps. The text is important, but it also some background. And this is a preeminent study of Western civilization. It really has a lot to do with the cyclical nature of history, how there is discernible patterns of societies rising and falling. And he uses this to trace civilizations um, from the Stone Age all the way, I believe, until the 60s, but I could be wrong about that. And also includes the East as well, so it's not just Western um, civilization. So, from a British point of view, but I think it's interesting, especially in the debate of a cyclical view or nature of history, and how history is not a progressive movement from being, what would you say, it's primitive to enlightened. Um, there has been many resets and many cycles. It moves forward, right? We have definite beginning and definitive end, especially from a Christian point of view, right? Genesis to Revelation, creation to the apocalypse. But as we go through that, there is cycles of degradation and rebuilding. Almost like if you're in the biblical framework or mindset, in the book of Judges, it has its own specific cycle of events about people choosing a judge, rejecting the judge, falling away from God, needing a judge. The judge comes, the judge fails, and then they fall away from God again. So that same pattern of good times create weak men, and then bad times create strong men cycle. That's the narrative it drives forward, and I think it's a worthwhile investment, especially the one volume abridged version with pictures. So I would say start with that, and if you're really in depth, then go ahead and go with the multi-volume set. So Toynbee's study of history. This one here, The Great Treasury of Western Thought, is a compilation by Adler. I like it because it includes a lot of figures: Plato, Aristotle, Aquinas, Machiavelli, John Locke, Marx, and Freud, and other thinkers from the West. St. Augustine, as I see here, as I'm looking through it, it's just by subject matter. It just has excerpts from these different thinkers and what they have thought on subjects such as prudence, wisdom, folly, property, love, nature, and the natural. So you can see the differences, the evolution, and also the similarities of Western thought. Again, like a compilation, you are limited to whatever the compiler, Mortimer Adler, thinks that are great thoughts in Western culture. So I guess if there was going to be a future volume, maybe pick somebody who's more Western and Christian, and maybe we'll bring those thoughts more forward. But at least for a starter, this is, I think, a decent enough compilation of great Western thoughts. So if you're looking for specific thoughts on subjects, you can find it here. And yeah, I think compilations like this are helpful, although they could be surface level in a sense. I have compilations like this, C.S. Lewis on different subject matters and his quotes on that. There's Shakespeare, Chesterton, and I also have um, the British theologian, which name escapes me now, but basically a different um, Catholic theologian, not Thomas More, um, but different thoughts on different subject matters. So this is a good book, and if you keep finding yourself falling in love or resonating with some of the quotes here from specific authors, you can go in depth and see where they wrote and have a more in-depth look. But I think in terms of general understanding, I think it's a great resource to have. The next book I have here that I want to showcase is Rodney Stark's How the West Was Won. I have a picture there of the Led Zeppelin album, How the West Was Won, as it is a popular term for Westerns as well. But this book is great in understanding that civilization it's not built on just what are my thoughts here that I'm looking for, on exploitations, imperialism, and just accidents of history or geography. That Christianity solidarity, capitalism, science, and individualism propelled the West to dominance. And he argues this in his book. I think he's a sister book, The Victory of Reason and the Rise of Christianity, kind of share the same themes, especially the rise of Christianity really highlights how the church and the Christianity was involved in making the West what it is. The West itself, another good book that I didn't write down or give links to, but maybe I have the book, so we'll talk about it when it gets there. I guess I have it under church history. It is Thomas Wood's The Catholic Church in History. I forget exactly what it's called, but how it shaped the West or something to that effect. But it also touches upon those themes. So, and it's like an easier read as well. And yeah, Wall Street Journal, Crisis Magazines, Catholic World Report. So it's a pretty awesome read. So I would also pro Western culture. Which way, Western man? This is a good book to start. How the West was won. Next, earlier I spoke of SparkNotes, derisingly, or a negative matter, but this is the great Greek classics. I don't know if there's a Roman or a yeah, Roman classics as well, but this is for those who just want a TLDR on certain subject matters. The Iliad, Odyssey, even Aristotle's here, or Herodotus histories. Antigone is here as well. So a lot of easy to read, easy to understand, digestible to understand the Greek classics. Obviously, the best thing to do is actually read the original as opposed to reading the summaries. But this is better than a Wikipedia article, so you're halfway there. So, and this hopefully gets you in the mood to read those classics. Although sometimes you want to read the classics first so that this doesn't taint your point of view. I think that's the best way, is to get like the definitive or best version of a work that has all the great intro notes and notes at the bottom, when you can just read the text itself and then go back and then see those notes in the beginning and at the end, and then the bottom notes to see if you agree or something sticks out at you. What I do is an in-between method where I try to read the main text, and if I'm confused or have questions about something, then I would read like the notes that are there. Maybe they can help enlighten to see what the cultural context of the certain words, especially when I'm reading Shakespeare or Chaucer, some English that's to me harder to understand. So yeah, the Greek classics. All right, I have two more for this Western civilization. Again, so a lot of my other works are put away, so I wanted to have the ones I can actually pull out from the immediate library I have. And this one's a newer book given to me by my wife for Christmas, The Life of Alexander the Great by Plutarch. And this one's I have it here from the Modern Library Classics, and this one especially has the Victor Davis Hanson introduction. So it's one of the reasons that I liked this one as the version for this specific work about Alexander the Great, 4th century, obviously, of Macedon, studied under Aristotle and Philip of Macedon being his father, and so much of early New Testament era was due to him and Hellenization at that period. And Alexander the Great mentioned or alluded to in the book of Daniel, and mentioned directly in First Maccabees as well. So a biblical figure, if you want to use that understanding of what a biblical figure is, literally named. So a man who changed the world. And you can also, I have in the links there, Plutarch's Lives, Volume 1 and Volume 2. I think he's included in Volume 1, I believe. But since it's from Plutarch, might as well read all the lives of the ancient heroes and generals and kings and royalty and just famous and important people, at least in his estimation. And this book is surprisingly a nuance in this understanding of Alexander and his campaigns in India and other places. And yeah, it really Apron Leather Club. It's also a good YouTube video to find out about Alexander and the recent controversies about him, and how they try to demean what is a great man, great in the sense of a lot of change that he brought upon. Maybe not the most moral character, but also not. He definitely was great and somebody who really made a mark in history. So we allow we owe a lot to him, and due to God's providence, he paved the way for the Christians, him and the Romans, but Christianity to spread. And obviously, the New Testament itself is written in Koine Greek. We have Septuagint of the Old Testament, right? And that's how we get the bigger canon of the Catholic Bibles. We have 73 books in the Bible, 46 in the Old Testament, 7 more than in Protestant versions, and a lot of it has to do with Alexander the Great conquering and introducing Greek through Hellenization, and from there, Christianity was able to take root. So due to God's divine providence. So I spoke of the Greeks here, Plutarch's lives, and then the controversial and perennial Gibbons, Edward Gibbons, Decline of and Fall of the Roman Empire. There are 6 volumes. And then there is a 1-volume abridgment. And then this is a 1-volume abridgment with pictures. So again, like Toynbee's history, this one's in color. The pictures here, and it really highlights and brings to life to me the importance of the Roman Empire and what patterns arose and what kind of things that led it to its downfall. Unfortunately, Gibbons really has a lot of the Enlightenment philosophy with him, and has those biases and sees the Dark Ages in Christianity as a not necessarily a positive thing, at best a neutral institution, but I still think it's worth a wrestling with this book, and this one being an abridgment and having those pictures gives you illustrations as well as gives you a better understanding and a better appreciation of the subject matter and deeper understanding. So it's a good, deeper appreciation of it, I would say. So, and I say halfway in between, better than a Wikipedia article, but not quite as good as, I guess, a 6-volume complete work unabridged, or the 2-volume or 1-volume abridged version, which is also in my links. So do have those. And those are all of the books that I talked about, and also the alternative versions of the books that, again, either are unabridged or other for further reading. So hopefully you guys can take a look at those and click on the links and buy those, or at least just take a peek and maybe have some different ones. And maybe in the comments you can let me know about other ones that you have in your library. I'll be making probably a part 2 in the future of Western culture and history. My next set of affiliate link GRIFT would be for my philosophy books, my Plato, my Aristotle, and Intro to Philosophy. Some of the Christian ones are going to be put in another category, but I guess maybe philosophy too. But at least for philosophy, volume 1 is going to be my next upcoming video in this series. So hopefully you guys are following me at reinforcemyfaith.com, where you can sign up to the newsletter. It's free. It comes out every week currently on Wednesday mornings to give you some spiritual and bodily or physical advice to do activities, some mindset, and also a book recommendation. So like this, but more specifically, books that have to do either with the theme of the reading that I chose or the saying that I chose. And yeah, so hopefully you guys can give me a follow also as well in the Twitter and the X, and also in YouTube link. So hopefully this has been informative. As you can see my face here, Mr. Cologne, from Mr. C, a layman from Reinforce My Faith. Thank you so much, you guys. And I'll be sharing and interacting with you guys soon enough. All right, take care. God bless, and seek the true, the good, and the beautiful.